So if you're considering building a new home and you're going to buy some store-bought plans or look on the internet, well, I have a book that you need to buy, The Home Plan Doctor by Larry Garnett, and it's published by Story Publishing. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, nice to be here.
Tell me a little bit about your background.
Well, I've been in the business of designing homes for about 30 years. Started out working with individuals, custom designing homes, and then worked with local builders to create their product. And then about 20 years ago, I became involved with some of the magazines that published so-called stock plans or pre-designed plans. And so for really a large part of my career, I've been involved with that.
Now, this is where people can either buy magazines or books or go online and basically buy stock blueprints, right?
Exactly, and particularly with the advent of the internet, there's literally thousands, maybe 100,000 plans actually available in one way or another on the internet. So you can go on there and search by square footage, style, and so forth.
Tell me about the quality of some of those plans. I mean, is it sort of a thing where buyer needs to beware?
Well, there absolutely are. First of all, it's almost overwhelming at this point, and how many plans can you look at that have 3 bedrooms and 2,200 square feet? Also, there is a wide variance of quality of plans available, as with probably anything on the internet. There's some extremely fine designs by well-known architects and designers, and then there are some designs that have just been placed on the internet as anybody can do.
Right.
So you have to be a little bit careful about that.
So, I mean, part of the problem is if you design a plan to be built maybe in Texas, you may not be able to build it in the Northeast or somewhere out west because codes are different.
Exactly,
right?
and that's one of the biggest issues, and that's really one of the motivations for me writing this book. Being in the business of selling stock plans over the years, you certainly realize that, for instance, I'm from Texas. If I've designed that home to be built in the Texas market, there's some things that need to be changed if it's going to be built here in New York, for instance.
Right.
And oftentimes people don't realize that, and the magazines and the publishers don't always do, I think, as good a job as they should of providing that information.
People are considering a plan, maybe they've got an idea of the square footage of their house, but can you talk a little bit about what they should be focusing on when they're trying to figure out exactly what kind of home they want?
Well, people tend to think about the exterior elevation first, and actually that's probably not the right way to go about it.
Right.
I think probably they should think more about the floor plan, their lifestyle, what they're looking for, and also the site that they're going to be building on. We can always work with the exterior elevation. That's really, frankly, the easy part.
Right, and sizing the rooms is important too, right?
Absolutely. I say in the book that a room needs to be as big as it needs to be. And that sounds a little bit redundant, but there's a lot of truth in that. Sometimes rooms can get too big. In a living room that's too big, you lose the coziness and so forth. And then, of course, rooms can get too small and you can't get your furniture in there.
And you talk about light and bringing natural light in and the ways that can really affect a design.
Absolutely. Placement of windows is very critical. For instance, if you put windows on a diagonal across the room as you enter it, the room is going to seem to expand.
Right.
It's just a little trick, if you will, on window placement.
The book is full of tricks. The Home Plan Doctor by Larry Garnett. It's going to give you some insight into what your next home should look like. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, now it's time for our Ask Lou segment.